Hi, Peter Boolkah here, and welcome to today's edition of The Transition Guy. Now today I want to speak to you about artificial intelligence. It's a topic that keeps coming up, and a lot of people are sort of really fearful, saying that artificial intelligence is robbing them of their jobs. Now, is that a valid argument? I would probably say there is some sort of truth in that artificial intelligence is starting to change the way that we work. Now, whether it's robbing us of our jobs, that's debatable. What I will say is that history has been full of change, and perhaps the jobs that we're going to be doing in the future, they're going to need to change. And I remember growing up as a child. I grew up in the East End of London. One of the biggest employers in the region was Ford Motor Company. Now, back then, Ford was massive in Dagenham. And I remember a lot of the people that I sort of grew up in school with, they had huge aspirations that when they sort of left school, that's where they wanted to work. And so many of my friends ended up working at Ford's. Now, forward 30 years down the line, none of my friends still work for Ford's. The manufacturing plant in Dagenham has sort of drastically reduced. I'm not even sure they manufacture there anymore, to be honest. Most of their land's been sold off. It's now housing. And that once vibrant sort of car manufacturing no longer exists there. It's been replaced by robots, machinery, because technology's sort of progressed. Now, you can fight against it, but if you look at it from the employer's point of view, if they've got a more efficient way of manufacturing that allows them to produce stuff that's better quality, arguably, at a cheaper cost, where they can make better margins, why would they not do that? Of course they're going to do that. At the end of the day, the businesses out there are there to make money. They're going to do what they can to make money. And I see the same thing coming with artificial intelligence. I mean, you look at the progress that we've made. Uber and Lyft, they're not investing as much into people as they used to. They're investing in technology. They're looking at the whole driverless car scenario. The reality is, if you go 5 years from now, no matter how much the government fights against autonomous vehicles, it's coming. It's coming. And when you get an autonomous vehicle that can pick you up from your house without a driver, drop you off safely, and I use the word safely because it's got to be safe, without the use of a person, without that person going off sick, etc., well, where do you think these companies are going to invest their money? They're going to invest money into technology. And I wouldn't be surprised 5 years from now if that entire industry is changed, and in many of sort of the developed countries, it's gone. Now, you could argue that all these people that are Uber drivers today, well, what are they going to do? Well, we've got to be open to the fact that there's going to be change. We've got to be open to the fact that, you know what, we're doing jobs today. We may not be doing them in the future, but we need to learn. And this is the thing, we are going to have to learn. We're going to have to change. We're going to have to develop, and we're going to have to evolve, because the world around us isn't going to slow down. It isn't going to stop changing. And those things where we used to think, yeah, we've got a career for life, we've got a job for life, I'm afraid that may no longer be the case. So at the end of the day, it's coming. And all I can say is let's adapt with it. And it's the same for you in your business. The services that you offer, the products that you offer, that may all change. The business model may have to change. I mean, coronavirus, the pandemic right now, is probably a good time to get you to rethink your business. Because at the end of the day, nothing stays the same. Everything always moves forward. Now, I'd love to hear your comments below. Has AI affected you in your business? Has AI affected you as an employee? Are you getting the support you need to get retrained? If not, what should we be doing to sort of help you do that? In business, do you fully understand AI? Are you embracing it? Are you trying to fight it? Love to know your comments. If anything I've talked about today resonates with you, head over to boolkah.com and get in touch. And remember, failing to learn is learning to fail.